It goes to the Supreme Court. Amy Swear is here. Amy, welcome back to WLS. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
So where does this go in this state? I think we all know what the governor of this state and what the Supreme, the court in this state would like to do. But where is this going to end up eventually? Because there was some thought that this might have been voted down.
Yeah, so there's some good news and some bad news. Obviously, the bad news is you just had the Seventh Circuit once again uphold this statute. I know there's some confusion maybe for some people who are like, wait, haven't they already upheld this? And it was some procedural stuff. The earlier cases were preliminary injunctions. This case was after days and days of trial, and this is the most evidence that has ever been presented, trying to demonstrate that these quote unquote assault weapons are actually perfectly within the meaning of those arms that are protected by the Second Amendment. And unfortunately, but predictably, the Seventh Circuit still upheld this statute. But the good news is the Supreme Court has taken up to hear this coming term a case. It's not quite technically the one that the Seventh Circuit just upheld. But it is, for all intents and purposes, the same question. Are these semi-automatic rifles and other semi-automatic firearms, are they protected by the Second Amendment? And I think almost certainly what you will see in this coming term for the Supreme Court is the Supreme Court finally applying the Second Amendment test in the correct way and striking down these bans as unconstitutional.
I believe. You know more about this than I do. I believe it says there in the Constitution, shall not be infringed. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
What if it identifies as a BB gun? Can we do that?
I don't know that anyone's tried that argument, but
some knucklehead from a morning talk show in Chicago. Amy Swear is here. She's a senior legal fellow advancing American freedom. We're talking about this ban in Illinois, the statewide assault weapons ban. Nick,
Amy, I'm curious because the original ban enacted by Pritzker and everybody also included those large capacity magazines. Is there a chance that those could be two separate issues, or is the high court, the Supreme Court, going to look at the ban as it entails everything?
So these are technically, from a legal standpoint, two separate questions, and you see this again as courts have been dealing with this of two separate questions. Though it's essentially the same type of question, right? Are these arms, and are they protected by the Second Amendment? Obviously, I believe the answer is yes to both. They are arms. They are protected by the Second Amendment, which may be shocking that we're even having a discussion
right.
of, well, are these arms? But many of these courts have actually tried to play this game of saying, no, these aren't arms at all. This obvious gun is somehow not a gun, and they try to play fast and loose with the definitions there. The Supreme Court, when they took this up, they did just take up that singular question of, are these semi-automatic, quote unquote, assault weapons, are they protected? Now, I suspect that in striking down these laws, because again, not that I always want to play crystal ball with what the Supreme Court will do, but I think it's fairly obvious that since they took this up, there are at least 5 justices who are leaning towards striking this down. Yep. But part of that opinion will almost certainly, even if the holding itself does not deal with it, you will see in this opinion language and references to the issue of magazines, which I know is, it's kind of unfortunate, I think, for some people.
Yeah.
Because I have no doubt. I mean, look, you look at how these, states like Illinois, states like Hawaii, states like California, how they have treated previous cases where it seems obvious that the court is heavily suggesting, hey, stop doing this thing. Mm-hmm. They're going to find a way to keep doing it anyway. I don't for one second expect that after Illinois loses, and California and New York, et cetera, with it, that they will just roll over and say, okay, we will respect the Second Amendment.
No, they won't.
Now.
They won't.
No.
Is it ever lost on anyone that if we convicted criminals that murder people and create these heinous acts of crime, that if we actually put them away or brought back the death penalty, that maybe people would be less apt to use guns in a way like this?
Well, right, and this is part of the dark humor almost underlying all of this, right?
Yeah.
It's this game to blame the specific type of weapon, which, by the way, is one of the least common types of weapons actually used by criminals. You look at statistics on this, most often they're just using normal, basic run-of-the-mill handguns, and for most crimes in most circumstances, it really doesn't matter what type of weapon they had, whether it's like the non-assaulty version of the same gun, it is realistically just as deadly and just as useful to them as the, quote, assaulty version of it. I completely agree that the dark irony is it doesn't matter what type of gun they have, and pretending that it really just mattered whether it was an assault weapon helps no one.
But Amy, you see, though, that they would spin it, and you would have the governor saying, see, holdups using AR-15s are down in Illinois. It's because of the ban. These people.
Amy, what if we did this? Like, I have a friend of mine who has a 2 foot, maybe a 3 foot in circumference little pool that she bought for herself, and she put it out on her patio to cool down in the summer. And it came with instructions. Now it's a pool that's 2 feet. It's got 8 inches of water, Nick. It says no diving.
So that's because common sense isn't very common
maybe you
anymore.
put on some of these guns. Do not kill somebody with this gun. Maybe if we just tell people how to use them, it'll be better. Amy, it's amazing to me the way that we work in and around this. It will be an argument for a long time, and at least in the near future here in the state of Illinois. Yep. Amy, always nice to have you on. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.